Daniel Haqiqatjou's last debate was a disaster. Recently, Muslim apologist Daniel Haqiqatjou had a debate with Christian apologist Andrew Wilson. Sadly, in the debate, Daniel's performance was horrible.
Oh, they have donkeys pulling their carts. You can laugh, but they're living beautiful lives as Christians or as Muslims. Oh, go on. That was a neat
slapping your.
In this video, inshallah, I'll break down what went wrong and what you could learn from it. So, if you want to know why Daniel's debate with Andrew Wilson was so terrible, then please watch this video until the very end. So, let's get started.
So the first slide, which is best for society, Islam or Christianity? Next slide. The answer depends on which standard we use to judge, traditional or secular liberal values. Traditional values include belief in God, prayer, marriage, and gender roles, opposition to degeneracy, and commitment to nation and shared culture. Secular liberal values include individual freedom, gender equality. If we judge by traditional values, Islam beats Christianity hands down. If we judge by secular liberal values, Christianity comes out on top. The reason for this is that Christianity, since the Enlightenment, has been reformed and adopted liberal values while eroding traditional ones. This is because Christianity is more open to evolving in a way that Islam isn't.
What?
So, Daniel's argument can be boiled down to this. Premise 1. The religion that better upholds traditional values is better for society. Premise 2. Islam better upholds traditional values. Conclusion. Therefore, Islam is better for society. Here, he is just committing the ambiguity fallacy. For example, here he's talking about traditional values. What does he mean by traditional values? What Christians consider to be traditional values is different than what Muslims consider to be traditional values. For example, for Muslims, traditional value would be to believe in one God, monotheism, and to reject idolatry and polytheism. But Christianity considers those things to be part of the traditional value. They believe that worshipping a man, Jesus, is part of the traditional value. They believe that worshipping idols is part of their traditional values. So they are clearly and contradicting traditional values between Muslims and Christians. So how can you argue that any religion that upholds traditional values is better for society when in reality Muslims and Christians don't even agree what traditional values are, right? So this premise is completely ambiguous. So what does Daniel mean here? That is he talking about Muslim traditional values or is he talking about Christian traditional values? It's not clear. Are you saying that Christians committing shirk is a good thing and that should be part of like Muslim understanding of traditional values? Why? Like it makes no sense. Now, a much better argument for me personally, I think, would be premise 1. Any religion which preserves the main belief of Jesus, which is monotheism, is better for society. Islam preserves the main belief of Jesus, which is monotheism. See Mark 12:29. Therefore, Islam is better for society compared to Christianity. When it comes to the first premise, Christians should not have any issues with accepting that, right? Any religion that preserves the main belief of Jesus, by that I mean monotheism, is better for society. So Christians claim to believe in monotheism, so it shouldn't be a problem for them. Then in premise 2, I clarify what I mean by monotheism, right? For evidence, I used Mark 12:29. The most important one, answer Jesus is this. Hear, O Israel, the Lord our God, the Lord is one. This is the belief of Jesus. Here, Jesus clear-cut says that his God is one God, okay? Not three in one, but one God. So this is a complete rejection of the Trinity. So which religion preserves this belief of Jesus? Islam does. Christians don't preserve this. Christians believe in the Trinity. Therefore, Islam is better for society compared to Christianity. So I think if he made this argument, it would have been a lot better because now the Christian would be forced to argue Trinity. And this is the weakest position that the Christians have. But instead, he brings up this weird kind of like argument about shared values, which doesn't work because we don't have any shared values, core ones at least.
For example, even though he's Orthodox, I doubt he'll defend Byzantine Orthodox norms, such as theocratic monarchy, the monarch's authority to define church doctrine, slavery, book bans and speech restrictions, death penalties for blasphemy, apostasy, and pagan worship, restrictions and bans on loaning money with interest, minimum marriage age of 12, bans on divorce, mandatory veiling of women with unveiled women labeled as prostitutes, lashes for fornicators, punishing married adulterers by cutting off noses or sewing them into sacks and burning them alive, execution for homosexual acts, limits on Jews through bans on Jewish proselytizing and building new synagogues. If we look at a timeline of Christianity, for 1700 years, Christianity upheld its pre-modern norms of slavery, female subordination, monarchy, punishments for blasphemy, executions for adultery.
Daniel, I think, got confused regarding what topic he was even debating because he accidentally debunks his own argument. I mean, like, Daniel's whole premise in his argument is that Christianity failed to uphold their traditional values. But the thing is that he himself debunks this premise. In his slideshow, he shows that Christianity has been able to preserve their traditional values for 1700 years, which, by the way, is longer than Islam. So are you saying that Christianity preserved the tradition longer than Islam? Then why would you argue and say that Christianity is unable to preserve this? So which one is it? Like, here you seem to be saying that Christianity is able to preserve the tradition, but then in the argument you're saying that no, they can't actually preserve the tradition. So which one is it? He just debunks his own argument. He's contradicting himself.
Congratulations, you played yourself.
After the Enlightenment, Christians began reforming their religion to match secular values, and that liberalizing process continues today with the acceptance of homosexuality, LGBT rights, and modern feminism. Even though he's a conservative, Andrew already accepts huge chunks of this liberal reform. He's fine with abolishing slavery, rejecting monarchy, ending blasphemy, and adultery punishments. His conservatism simply draws an arbitrary line at a later stage, roughly 1950s America. But libtard progressives follow that same reform trajectory, just a few stages or steps further. Andrew isn't defending traditional Christianity, he's defending his preferred arbitrary stopping point on a progressive path he already agrees with. In other words, the difference between him and the libtards is quantitative, not qualitative. Just a dispute over where to halt the same ongoing cucking to secular liberalism. So Andrew's conservatism is not principled, it's arbitrary.
Here, Daniel basically says that Andrew is just defending this kind of secular liberal values. Okay, but then what does that has to do with Christianity? This is a complete red herring. Like, the topic is, which is better for society, Islam or Christianity? Not Islam versus secular liberalism. You're here to argue against Christianity. What's your argument against Christianity? You don't have any argument. And this is what I was talking about. Like, if you're going to argue against Christians, you have to bring a solid argument that Christians will have to agree with. And then you go to a conclusion that debunks their position. He argues about something that has nothing to do with the debate topic, and it honestly just seems like he's lost.
Given this, I predict Andrew will debate like a blue-haired libtard today and use a pro-liberal strategy against Islam. Because again, Christianity can't beat Islam on traditional values for the simple reason that Islam isn't amenable to reform the way Christianity is. So he'll likely attack Islam exactly like a blue-haired alphabet person would by calling Islam backwards on marriage, gender roles, and scientific and economic progress. But if Andrew attacks Islam using secular liberal values, he faces a dilemma. Because tomorrow he's debating an atheist on whether Christianity or secular liberalism is better for society. So any pro-liberal standard that Andrew uses to judge Islam today, tomorrow that same liberal standard can be used by his atheist opponent to judge Christianity. For example, if he says Christianity is better than Islam because it gives women more rights and promotes more scientific progress and health, the atheist can argue that secular liberalism does even more of those things. Andrew knows this, so against the atheist tomorrow, he'll likely revert back to a traditional Christian stance, highlighting issues like LGBT, incest, and low birth rates.
Here, he uses poisoning the well fallacy. The poisoning the well logical fallacy is basically a form of logical arguments where you basically argue that, oh look, my opponent will say this thing or that thing, therefore he will be wrong. But it doesn't logically follow because you don't know whether your opponent will make this argument or not. As a matter of fact, funnily enough, he doesn't even make this argument because he's like a conservative Orthodox Christian. So yeah, this is just poisoning the well. It doesn't logically follow. And I find it really interesting because Daniel's performance in debates have not been this bad since for a long time. I think ever since he had that conversation with Brother Adnan Rashid, his performance is like, debate performance is going like this. But yeah, this is just surprising. And thank you guys for watching. If you guys like the video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. If you want to support me, you can support me by becoming a Patreon or YouTube member. And inshallah, I'll see you guys next time.
Inshallah, in my next video, I will cook Andrew Wilson. In this video, I just had to correct some of Daniel's mistakes and point out his bad arguments. So see you guys next time, inshallah.